and you want to stretch it fairly tight. You want to take a couple wraps that are fairly tight, laying one right in front of the other, just like so. And then as we start coming further on up the hook shank, you start easing up on the tension a little bit. And what actually happens, you build in an automatic taper to it. So by the time I get up towards the thorax area, I have very little tension on the D-rib. Take a couple more turns here. Now I'm ready to tie it off. We'll get this excess out of the way. And we're going to tie it off. Just take several turns of thread to make sure it doesn't slip on you when you come in to tie it off. Now that we have it tied down, you just come in and cut it off. And then we're just going to set our D-rib to the side. Now most nymphs, regardless if it's a small one or a big one, when you're at the quarter waypoint behind the hook eye, you're ready to tie in your wing case. This one's going to be done just a little bit different. So we're going to take our thread right up to the hook eye. And this is the point in which we're going to tie in our wing case. For the wing case, what I'm going to be using is medallion sheeting. Medallion sheeting, when it was first made, was basically made so we had synthetic winging material with some color in it. But what I have found that the material is probably even better suited for are wing cases on nymphs. This happens to be an olive brown color, which is perfect to go with this olive body. So what we want to do is come in, and we're going to just kind of slide our scissors right on up it to the width that we want, instead of cutting it and then ripping it. So we have a little hunk of the sheeting here. And then we're going to take this right up to the hook eye. Now, when dealing with a solid wing case material, so that it kind of molds around the hook shank, what you want to do is hold half of it on the side towards you. That way, when you take your thread over the top, it kind of molds right around the hook. And then you hold it, you got to pinch it a little bit. And then as you come over the top, it just molds right around the hook, and then you cinch up on it, and it takes several more wraps. And to make sure that you don't have any wrinkles right in here, you just grab it and tug on it a little bit. Now we're ready to build up the thorax a little bit. For the thorax, what I like to use is a new dubbing out called micro dry fly dubbing. It's a natural material, and it has been dyed specifically to match hatches. This is a blue and olive color with a tint of gray. It's really fine, so we don't, for small flies, and as we get this on here, you can just see how easy it goes. And you don't have that much buildup. So we'll get that on there. And we'll just wrap some dubbing down. Cover up our thorax area. Just need a little bit more, because we're going to add a couple more things here before the thorax is completely finished. Just a little bit, there we go, right up at the eye. We basically want to finish with our thread hanging in the middle of the thorax. Now we're ready to put some legs in here. For our legs, what we're going to be using is the rest of that partridge that we had used for our tail. But before we tie it in, what we're going to do is basically lay the feather tip against your finger Then you can take a pair of sharp-nosed scissors like stonefly puts out, and you just kind of jab it in there and snip. And what that does, it creates a nice little V in your hackle. That way when you take your wing case through it, it doesn't tend to tie down any of the materials. So what we're going to do is kind of group these fibers all together, and then we're going to measure it for length. I'm going to measure it from the hook eye to about the halfway point of the fly's body. And I'm going to transfer it up into the thorax. And I'm just going to tie it down right there in the middle of the thorax. Take several turns of thread, and then I'm just going to cut off the excess. Now we're ready to add some more dubbing. And what we're going to do is basically cover up where we cut off the excess leg material. And what we're going to do is kind of post those partridge legs. So we add a little dubbing. We're going to cover up where we cut off our legging material. Add a little more here so we can go up in front of it. And when you're using dubbing, you always want to twist in the same direction instead of going back and forth so your dubbing doesn't come unloose. Now what I'm going to do is just pull the sheeting down and the legs back. And I'll keep a hold of those legs. And I'm just going to wrap right in front of it. And what that does is it posts those legs. And I have about one more turn of thread left here with some dubbing on it, which I want, and I take it right behind the legs. Now what I'm going to do is split the legs, and to do that I just come in here with my index finger and use my fingernail and just push down. And as I push down, you can just kind of see how the partridge automatically splits in two. So I grab the side towards me, and then I'll bring my wing case backwards. Kind of lost it there. There we go. And the reason for putting our legs in the middle of the thorax is because if you look at any bug, the legs don't come out of their head. They come out of the middle of their thorax. And that was the whole idea behind this fly. Now that we have the wing case towards the back, we're going to come in here and just tie it down. Just take a fairly loose wrap, and if you want your legs to go towards the back a little bit, just kind of pull a little bit tighter on your sheeting, and then take a couple more wraps of your thread. And then what you do is come on the underside, and then you hook your thread up at the hook eye. Now what we're going to do is just take our thread, finish it off. Take a couple whip finishes here, and we're ready to take our thread off. And whenever I cut my thread, I'm sure you can just see that. Always pull it tight so you can see the hook move a little bit. It creates a tension so when I cut it, I don't have a loose little tag of thread hanging out. So what I'm going to do is pull back on the sheeting a little bit. And to create a little wing case, I just pull straight back on the wing case material. I'm going to come in with my scissors straight over the top, and I'll just cut it short, just like that. And what just happened, I automatically cut a little V in the wing case so that I have a little wing pad area. If your legs aren't quite where you want them, you can kind of pull them out a little bit. And then we have the finished fly of the Baetis Nymph.